Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down complex ideas using the source material itself. Today, we're jumping right into a paper that proposes a really radical new theory of everything. It attempts to connect physics, biology, and even consciousness through one single foundational concept.
Wow, okay, so right off the bat, the language here is pretty intense. We're getting hit with terms like Janus particles, Philfo particles, and all these different energy streams. Honestly, it's a lot to take in, and it's really easy to get lost right from the start. So what does that even mean? That's the real question, right? For the next few minutes, let's unpack this whole hypothesis, step by step. We're going to use the paper's own logic to build our way up from the tiniest proposed particle to, well, the entire cosmos.
All right, let's dive in. To get a handle on this theory, we have to go back, way back, to the very beginning of reality, according to this paper. It proposes this fundamental sequence of creation that's supposed to be the blueprint for literally everything that follows.
The paper lays out this very specific four-step sequence, kind of like an origin story for the universe. You start with a neutrino, then an axion, then a void, and all of that results in something the author calls 2D matter. And according to this theory, this progression isn't just random. It's the first domino that has to fall for anything else to even exist.
And this is the big idea right here. The core claim is that this simple four-step chain is the source code for everything. The paper argues that it doesn't matter if you're talking about stars, or rocks, or you and me, it can all be traced back to this one foundational sequence.
Okay, now we get to the really interesting part. The theory introduces two brand new players, two new particles. And you're not going to find these in any standard physics textbook, but for this whole idea to work, they are absolutely critical. First up, we've got what it calls the Philfo particle. This is described as the central grace particle. That's basically the manager of, well, everything. Energy streams, matter streams, you name it. And that name, Philfo, it's short for Philselfology, which kind of mashes up philosophy, self, and science.
And working right alongside the Philfo particle is the Janus particle. Its job is way simpler. Think of it like a bouncer at a club or a tap on a faucet. It's a gatekeeper. It can either allow or block the flow of all that stuff the Philfo particle is managing.
So their relationship is everything. You can think of the Philfo particle as the engine, the power plant, generating and directing all this flow. But the Janus particle, that's the ignition key. It's the gate that controls when all that power actually gets released.
Okay, so we've got these foundational particles, but how do you get from a particle to a person? How does this stuff actually organize itself into something as complex as life? Well, the theory proposes a kind of bridge between simple matter and biology, and it's powered by a very specific guiding force. And that force is called cymatics. You might have seen videos of this before. It's where you use sound vibrations to make sand or water form these incredible, intricate patterns. The idea here is that the universe is doing the exact same thing on a massive scale, using vibration to shape that basic matter into the actual building blocks of life.
And this is where it gets really wild. The theory takes all these abstract ideas about particles and tries to map them directly onto us, the human body itself. It's an attempt to show how these concepts are physically embodied in our own anatomy.
So, get this. The paper suggests our bodies are basically physical metaphors for this particle system. Your arms, for instance, are said to represent chirality, a fancy word for the handedness of particles. You know, how they can be mirror images of each other, just like your hands. And check this out. It even claims that the simple act of joining your hands can literally unlock those Janus gates, letting you access a higher dimensional state it calls 11D.
And the paper tries to make this feel a little less out there by grounding it in real-world biology. It points out that the potassium-40 at our bodies naturally emits neutrinos. And you know what else has a ton of potassium? Bananas. The idea is that we're constantly interacting with these fundamental particle streams, whether we realize it or not.
Okay, so we've gone from the tiniest particle to the human body. Now, the theory zooms out, all the way to the entire cosmos. And to help us wrap our heads around that massive leap, it uses a really powerful and unexpected analogy: music.
To make all this a bit more tangible, the paper assigns a musical instrument to each of the core components. The idea is really beautiful. Just like each of these instruments has a unique voice, so do the fundamental elements of reality. They aren't just abstract concepts, they're like cosmic notes waiting to be played. And of course, these instruments aren't just playing solo. The theory proposes that they all come together to create this cosmic plate of cymatics. It's a universal symphony.
an idea the paper actually links to a sacred text's description of Gagan Mean Thal.
So let's bring it all back together. What is the Philfo particle, according to this paper? Well, it's a lot of things. It's a grace particle that can gain and lose mass. It's shaped by the vibrations of cymatics. It's something we interact with through our own creativity, language, music, even AI. And ultimately, it's proposed as the very source of a unified field of consciousness.
So where does that leave us? Is this a brand new science of everything, or is it maybe a grand poetic metaphor for how everything in the universe is connected? The paper lays out this incredible framework that tries to tie together the physical and the spiritual, science and art, and really it leaves it up to you to ponder the implications and decide for yourself what to make of it.